Recording. All right, good. So I'll do a little introduction if I could to start off our discussion before we start talking. So good morning, this is Dr. Rutledge and my first Zoom video recording. And we have with us today is it okay to say a senior member of the MGB club?
Yes.
You're 12 years after MGB, and
Right.
we're going to ask you some questions. But the reason we're talking this morning is we're worried about 3 issues that I think we discussed on the phone call before we started the video. Number 1 is that you're having bile reflux. And I think you said in one of the text messages, you were thinking it's so severe, you're thinking of having an operation to the Roux-en-Y to fix it.
Not to fix the reflux, to fix the hypoglycemia.
Oh, that makes it even worse. So, okay.
Okay.
But the second thing is hypoglycemia. Thank you for correcting me. And that's so severe, you were thinking about an operation, but there's nothing worse actually in surgical treatment of obesity than the Roux-en-Y for causing hypoglycemia. So that might not be a good choice.
Yeah,
then,
probably not a good idea.
Yeah, and then the third issue is you have low iron, and we talked a little bit about that. So there are many things to talk about as far as improving those things, and so we might not do everything, but our goal this morning is to go over some of those things and see if we can't make them better.
Fantastic.
Now, when I've done this in the past, because I've done it over the past 6 months really frequently, what I've found is that there's a process for me to understand what's going on with you so I can make good suggestions. And I'll tell you just a little secret that I talked with a very knowledgeable expert nutritionist just the other day, and she told me such a scary story of what she was actually doing. It was really easy to make her better because she was doing so many things that I think pretty obvious would be bad for you. So, but I have a bunch of questions to ask, and I want to apologize because the questions are so many that we need for you to be very short on your answers. When I've done this, a lot of patients want to be good patients. And so you ask about something and they want to give you a detailed answer. And we'd ask you instead, we're going to ask for just roughly correct. You don't have to be precise. Because I have almost 30 or 50 questions. And if we have a long answer, it's going to take a while. So I'm going to go ahead and start. And if I am a little abrupt in saying just short answers or that's too much,
I understand perfectly.
Okay, and you won't be angry at me, or at least try to
not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Because our goal is the same. We want to make you better. So
exactly.
Okay, so you had surgery about 12 years ago, and at that time you weighed roughly how much?
248.
250, 248. Yeah, good. And roughly today you weigh how much?
136.
Okay, so as far as that goes, pretty spectacular 12-year result.
Yes.
Okay. The other thing I'll to divert the talk a little bit, you know that I'm doing this survey of patients who've had the surgery. Have you seen that at all?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, when we're done, I'm going to send you my bill for $0.
Okay.
But if I could, I'll ask you a favor. One is, if you get anything good out of our talk, I'm going to ask you, please, to make a comment or two on Facebook, because there might be somebody else out there that you're a friend
Absolutely.
who knows you, to just say if it was good or bad and what you might have learned, just a paragraph or something, nothing big. But the
no problem
is I have a survey of post-operative MGB patients, and a lot of the advice I'm going to give you is not because I'm smart. It's because I've listened to other patients, and I have 3,000 people that have filled out the survey. And if I guess correctly, some of the tips and pointers I'll give you today are coming from them. So when we're done, I'll send you a link to the survey. And if you don't mind, it's a lot of questions, but if you don't mind filling it out, that'll be tit for tat for us spending time together today, if that's okay.
Okay, no problem. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
All right. Okay, so 12 years out, lost around 100 pounds, pretty spectacular for 12 years as far as weight loss. Good. Before we get going on the rest of the questions, I usually ask if right now, if you could list the other medical diseases you have. And so wait a moment, but so we're wondering about high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, high cholesterol. And then one thing that's pretty common is anxiety, depression, or any other psychiatric, psychological issues. So that's the beginning. Can you give me some information on those kinds of things with you?
I do not have any other health issues. I am on an antidepressant now. You know, I had panic attacks, but I don't think it's related to the MGB. My husband suddenly passed away last year. So, you know, it's kind of more related to that, to the grief than, you know.
I'm very sorry, and my condolences. There is something to put down on your computer, though. It's a topic that we won't spend too much time on, but there's a lot of new research on the gut microbiome. Micro, M-I-C-R-O, B-I-O-M-E, microbiome. Have you heard anything about that?
Mm-hmm. Never heard of it.
Okay, that's the gut bacteria that live inside of us. And in the past 10 years, the research on that has exploded. And I'll just take a second to say there is new research suggesting that the bacteria in your gut may affect your brain.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting.
Okay, so wait a second, listen to this. There's research suggesting that psychiatric, psychological issues might be related in part to the bacteria that live inside of us. And so, if you would, one of the post-discussion topics would be the microbiome and depression, anxiety, irritability, things like that. Especially because of the other topics you brought up with me, which are related to the hypoglycemia and the dumping syndrome. They all might come back in some little tiny ways to this microbiome business. And that's all brand new stuff. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Not too much, but it's worth you looking into and discussing
Absolutely.
some things with your doctors about these topics, because what we know now is there's a lot of new ideas, and a healthy diet in general is good for almost everything.
Right.
So, okay. Good. So before your surgery, I would ask, did you have any of those problems like the high blood pressure, diabetes?
No, I just hurt my back and was bedridden for about a year, you know, basically bedridden, you know, and just piled on the weight. And every doctor I saw said, hey, if you lose weight, your back will quit hurting. So I immediately jumped into the surgery. The first one fastest one I could get to, you know, went through the program, read the manuals, did everything, had the surgery, you know, and it turns out didn't make a damn bit of difference.
Oh, okay.
Not even a little bit.
So it did not help your back at all?
No.
Okay.
No, and it took another 4 or 5 years before I found a neurologist that knew what was going on, so.
Good. Okay, well, gladly that got better. Okay, all right, we'll get ready for the other questions. So that was a little bit longer answer,
Okay.
but okay. So we'll. I know you're doing.
I'll try to start. Okay.
Short answers. So, all right, what time do you usually go to bed?
About 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm a night person.
Okay. All right. We'll write down that we're going to talk about sleep and another time, but there's a very, 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 very good research scientist called Matthew Walker, which I'd like you to write down, Matthew Walker. And he has lots of free videos on YouTube. There's a 1-hour talk at Google that's easy to watch. He has a book, which the book is online, and you can listen to it online for free in Google. And he has numerous other interviews that are short. But in brief, many of your problems might be improved if we looked into your sleep more. We won't do too much more about it right now, but humans generally weren't made to live in the dark. So if you're going against that long-term practice of like a million years, you might have some issues, but we'll see. But we won't talk too much more about that now, but that's a good topic. And we might not fix everything in one talk. Sometimes there are little issues, but the sleep issue is something really interesting, like changing your sleep hours by an hour or two doubles your risk of Alzheimer's disease.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, there's some other stuff like that that are really big deals. And again, we're not going to talk about it much, but there's a lot of new research. They've done a bunch of tests. They've scanned the brain of people. They brought people in and they've let them sleep, and then they wake them up an hour early, or they do different things. We know lots more about sleep than we used to. And so with that new knowledge, it's almost as wacky and crazy as that microbiome craziness. And if you think about it, you have to be a little bit skeptical about the rest of the talk, with the two beginning things are so wild and crazy that it makes you kind of think twice. But there's a lot of new research, and I'm not going to go into that in more detail. Take a look at it, and if you want to go into more detail on these topics, there might be some real benefits in a few these little things.
Okay.
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 All right. And then if you go to bed at 4, you wake up about what time?
About 9 or 10
p.m.
a.m.
9 or 10 a.m.
Right.
Okay. So you sleep around 5 hours.
Yeah, 5 or 6 hours.
Okay. So again, it's a little different, but okay. Now at 9 a.m. when you wake up, what is the first thing you eat or drink?
Water, always water. And I don't eat breakfast.
Okay. So put down breakfast, and we'll go into a lot of research about breakfast. Skipping breakfast makes you heavier and sicker. And so there's a lot of research about that. Not only that, when you push your calories, okay, let me go back. The total number of calories your body eats per day is standard. That is to say, if you take away somebody's breakfast, they'll eat more for lunch and dinner. Okay? If you
Yeah.
give them more for breakfast, they'll eat less for lunch and dinner. When you take away breakfast, you're violating the primary directive for the MGB, because what you're doing is you're compressing the number of calories to 1 or 2 or fewer meals per day. So if you take away breakfast, it means that lunch and dinner have to be bigger, okay? So when you have unintentionally said, I'm going to skip breakfast, it means your brain says, no problem, I got this. I understand what to do. I'll eat more for lunch and dinner. When you eat more, you cause the hypoglycemia and the reflux. So what you want to do is less. So we'll talk more about that. But the very beginning,
Okay.
very first answer is that skipping breakfast is unwise.
Okay.
Okay. There's lots more to tell you about breakfast and the breakfast choices, but that's one thing just to start off with that immediately should be changed if you want to get better from those.
Okay.
And it isn't that,
Absolutely.
it's not that hard.
Right.
I'm not saying you have to have surgery, I'm saying eat breakfast.
Okay. Right. Exactly.
Okay. And here's, so number 1, you skip breakfast and you have water, and anything else to eat or drink before you, no, I'm sorry, then after breakfast, when do you eat next?
Well, I maybe start eating about 2 or, around 1 or 2. I don't have big meals like normal people.
No. Short answer.
I eat. Okay. Yeah. Okay. About 1 or 2 I start eating.
Then next. After the 9 a.m. skipping the breakfast and waking up, when do you eat again next usually?
About 1 or 2.
Okay, so 1 or 2 would be, you could just say 1:30, but okay.
Yeah.
All right, so around 1 or 2, that's good. So up until then, you haven't had anything else to eat or drink but just water.
Right.
Okay, good.
And I probably ate at 4 before I went to bed.
Okay, but all right. All right, so you eat right before you go to bed?
Yeah, because I just eat a lot, you know, in
Yeah, but that's the worst.
about every 2 hours.
Yeah, but that's the very, 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 very worst thing to do for causing bile reflux at night.
I know this. I know it. I know it. I know it. It doesn't stick in my head because okay.
Okay,
Okay.
now let's stop for a second. And you said two interesting things which are worth talking about. So I want to talk about the snake brain.
Okay.
So you and I are talking to each other now, correct?
Right.
And the person I'm talking to now is you. But
Okay.
more inside of you than this. The person that you and I are talking to isn't the only one that lives inside of you.
Okay.
Inside of you right now, you and I are communicating through the outside, the white matter, the cortex of the brain. If you were to put yourself in a scanner or put me in a scanner, you'd see all kinds of activity happening up here. And right now, though, you don't have to think about beating your heart. You don't have to
Right.
decide about blinking. You don't have to decide about whether or not the blood vessels in your arm should be bigger or smaller. You don't have to decide about putting acid in your stomach, okay? The underside of you, the inside of you, the deep primitive part of your brain that is the same thing and all that a snake has, is a running thing. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
My cat knocked over something.
Uh-huh. So deep inside of you right this moment, the rest of your body is being run by this primitive part of the brain called the amygdala. So you can write this down, amygdala.
Okay.
You can write it down. Type
Spell it.
A,
How do you spell it?
I know, I'm going to do it. A-M-Y-G-D-A-L-A.
Okay.
Amygdala.
Oh, I wasn't even close. Okay. Okay.
Okay. If
Got
you
it.
look at it, it looks like a fist at the base of your brain underneath, and it's running things. Okay. Now let's go back to what you just said. I said eating before you go to sleep is a bad idea, and you started moving around, and I know that, I know that, I know that. So we heard two things from you. We heard that you did something, and we also heard that the white part of your brain, the outer part, the cortex of your brain, the person I'm talking to now said, I know I shouldn't. Yet you were under the command of snake brain. That lizard brain inside you said eat, and you could not fight it. So let's give
Right.
you another quick example of lizard brain, of the brain taking over for you now. You think you're in charge of your life. You think now you are in command. I will show you you are not. So hold your breath. Okay, now hold it for 10 minutes.
No, thank you.
Right. You know why? You cannot.
I cannot.
You cannot even if you want, because you will wake up lizard brain and he will take over. He allows you to run things, but he is in charge. When you ate before dinner and you said, I know I shouldn't, you have awoken lizard brain by being foolish the rest of the day. You are trying to hold your breath until you go to sleep, and lizard brain says, no, I must eat, and takes over for your intelligent, wise, compassionate, good part of the person that I'm talking to now. But there's more to us, that deep reflexive brain, and you heard it from the very first answer to the question by sleeping wrong and then by skipping breakfast. So in the first few moments of our discussion, what you said is, I'm going to hold my breath for 10 minutes, and I immediately stopped the questioning, because obviously the very first thing to think of, to type on your computer, to write down as a technique is, don't fight with the lizard brain. You cannot win that battle.
Okay.
Okay? So
Okay.
immediately we know you've already told me that you're fighting and losing. Okay? You gave me an example, but anybody who tells me that story, I know I shouldn't eat candy, but I do, that's because they've awoken lizard brain. Okay? And that brain is in you and it's so powerful, you cannot overcome it. You're not in charge. You cannot hold your breath so long, if you're normal, that you cause yourself to die. Okay? And you're doing that. And the symptoms that you're having in just the first few moments of talking to you, I think is you've decided to go mano a mano with lizard brain, and that's a losing proposition. Okay? You're intelligent, you're thoughtful, you're skillful, you're a very nice person, but you're making foolish decisions and then you're paying for it because the MGB is trying to tell you you're doing wrong, but maybe we're not listening. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So when you say that you eat at 1 or 2, I think you're going to eat what at 1 or 2? What are you going to have? What would be the choice you would have on average?
It's going to have to be protein because if I don't get enough protein, so it's going to be some sort of protein. And
Let me interrupt. Okay, everything you just said about protein is also wrong. So
really,
everything you said, it's all new research. Okay, type down
okay,
high protein diet and excess protein and fear of low protein. Have you had your blood proteins measured?
yes, and they come back low.
Okay,
I'm trying though.
I'm sorry.
I said I'm trying. I try. So they're a little low right now.
I'm sorry.
And it's low right now.
Okay.
The last blood work, but I'm having more blood work tomorrow. So.
Okay. All right. So let's check that. But
Okay.
eating high protein as a treatment generally is unnecessary, but we'll talk more about that another time. Okay.
Okay.
But so again, could you just tell me what you eat at 1 o'clock as a couple of examples? Just quick.
Okay, like this, or when I got up today, when I ate, it was just some leftover steak and some broccoli with carrots in them.
Okay, so see, a short answer. Short answer would be steak and broccoli today. That's good. Okay. What about yesterday?
I had leftover lasagna.
Okay, lasagna, good. Now, the lasagna was you cooked or you bought it?
Somebody made it for me.
Somebody made it for you. Meat in it?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
3 meats.
Okay, good, all right. That's bad, and the steak is bad. We'll come back about that. When you eat that, the portion size is a half a cup, a quart, a bowl, a whole dinner plate full. How much would you say?
Maybe a half a cup, 3/4 of a cup. I still have good restriction.
Good. Okay. All right. Good. So that's around 1:30. When usually would you eat again?
2:30,
Okay.
3.
2:30 or 3. Okay. Good.
And it's just right.
It doesn't make any difference. That's okay. Don't worry about being accurate. We know roughly. We know it's not exact. Okay. What would you have then roughly around 2:30 or 3?
More than likely a protein bar.
Okay. Good. Protein bars are bad. So we'll come back and talk about that. All right. They cause the hypoglycemia. They cause the bile reflux. So.
Really?
Yeah. So, okay. Now,
wow.
When would you eat again?
Maybe 2 or 3 hours later.
Okay, so that's around 5.
Right. All right. Like, what did I eat today? I'm trying to think.
Well, what would you usually eat at 5 o'clock? Just pick a few things. It doesn't have to be.
Just like I'm snacking. Just small snacks. Just
Like what?
Not a whole lot of, like maybe an orange and a cookie.
I'm sorry?
Maybe a cookie. And then,
cookie is bad.
Which I know I ate today. I did eat a cookie today.
Yeah.
Then for dinner, I had more steak and broccoli.
Okay.
But I know I must have snacked in between there.
Well, what do you usually have? You don't you don't have to.
I've got oranges and grapes and, salad stuff. And I'm trying to think what I ate today. I just
No,
cannot.
don't think of today. Just think of what
Okay.
you would often have around 5 o'clock. What kinds of things, if you just think about it, what would you usually have, frequently have?
Oh, I know what I had. It's usually leftovers, because if I get a whole portion of food, then, I can eat it in 4 or 5 different meals.
Right. Okay. Good. All right. Good. Okay. So then you have the last few dinners you've had. Then you have dinner you said 5 o'clock is a snack, and then 6 or 7 you have dinner.
Right. I will probably eat again around 6 or 7, probably before 8.
Okay.
And then it'll just go on for the rest of the night that way.
Just eating stuff.
Just eating stuff.
Okay. And what kind of things?
Okay, like yesterday I had, and I ate it all day long. I had takeout teriyaki chicken. So I had rice and vegetables and chicken in it.
Okay. So takeout has
A lot of takeout.
a lot of takeout. Takeout is from a restaurant and they're designed to be tasty. So they usually have high amounts of salt, sugar, and fat in there. Okay. All these things will tend to make things a little worse as far as the reflux and stuff. So takeout, not the ideal choice. But so we'll go back to that. So, okay. And then
Okay.
you'll nibble on that until how late at night? All through the day until
All through the day and until I go to bed.
Okay. All right. So,
Generally, the last thing I'll do before I go to sleep is eat a protein bar.
Okay. And you have a lot of reflux.
Well, not a whole lot, but when it happens, it's just, so
But
scary.
for those who might listen to this later, because we're recording it, I'll turn to the audience and say, and she is calling about reflux, and she eats a protein bar before she goes to sleep. Could be they're not related. Now,
Okay.
watch here, I'm going to wink. They're related.
Okay.
Okay. All right, good. Okay. All right, well, I think we have enough. How often do you go out in the sun?
I avoid it like the plague. I mean, I sit out here all day, like I'm sitting right now. I'm using the table as a desk, so I sit here, but it's under cover. So direct sun, probably not a whole lot because, no.
So what you'll want to do is write on your computer vitamin D. And
Okay.
So have you had your blood tested for vitamin D?
I don't know.
Okay, that's okay.
If I did, it wasn't low.
Wait. Just write down on your computer to check your vitamin D level.
Okay.
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 Now, I just have a little small thing to talk about. Many people in America are low in vitamin D. Research shows if you're low in vitamin D, you have more cancer, heart attack, stroke, death. Okay? So to fix that, people have given tablets of vitamin D. Research shows that taking tablets of vitamin D increases the blood vitamin D, but does not protect against depression, heart attack, stroke, or death, or cancer. Where do you get vitamin D?
And one of the multivitamin things, except for it's vitamin D and calcium.
No.
No. Okay.
Vitamin D comes from the sun. And taking tablets of vitamin D will increase your vitamin D level, but vitamin D plus calcium is given by a lot of doctors to improve the possibility of avoiding osteoporosis, bone fractures, and other things. The recent research suggests it doesn't work. The tablets of vitamin D don't work. On the other hand, people who go outdoors in the sun have less heart attack, stroke, death, osteoporosis, and bone fractures.
Okay. So how much sun do you recommend a day?
Well, we don't want.
Because I'm in Florida, I can get all the sun I want.
I know, that's right. So you're blessed about that. But you're right also, we don't want you to be foolish like when I was growing up many decades ago. When the weekend came, we would go out and put baby oil on to be sunny all day long. We don't want that. So you can discuss with your doctor, And certainly if you haven't been out in the sun much, you'll want to gradually increase that. But it could be as little as 10 or 15 minutes a day to start, and probably no more than 30 to 60 minutes, depending what your doctor advises you. But
Okay.
in short, this is not our talk for today. I won't go into all the detail, but it's life and death as far as your health to get some sun every day. Human beings were not bred to live in a cave. We're not gophers. We don't live in tunnels under the earth. The sun makes you better. Now, too much sun can cause skin cancer, but the fear of skin cancer, most skin cancers are mild, what are called low risk squamous cell cancers. The more deadly ones are much, much more uncommon, and you're much more likely to die in the United States of heart attack, stroke, and cancer of the other parts of the body, and they are all decreased by vitamin D from the sun. Plus,
Okay.
your emotions, depression will be better. All those things are made better by the sun. Not the whole day out, not that. But people who work out in the sun have less heart attack, stroke, and death, even though they have a little bit more skin cancer. So we're not saying you should go out and work as a farm worker outdoors all day. But living in the dark like that and a low vitamin D changes your emotions, sadness, depression, irritability, all those things. And it's just not healthy. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So that's off topic, but it's very, very important. And also, as you said, you're sitting next to a gold mine. You decided not to use any of the gold. It's right outdoors.
Right.
Okay.
I am definitely blessed.
All right. Now, there's no guarantee that what I'm going to suggest will fix everything, but I think it will. Okay.
Okay.
All right. First of all those goofball protein bars, I would lose them.
Okay.
In general, what we're going to advise you is to eat a healthy diet. Okay. And we also would like to advise you, don't poke snake brain. He is happy to run things, but if you try to hold your breath, he'll wake up and he'll kick you in the bottom. You're doing a lot of things that annoy snake brain. Your life cycle is not the way an ideal human should live. You want to sleep when it's dark. That's what we were bred for a million years. You want to eat at regular times, and you'd like to eat healthy foods, not junk. And so take out most, we'll talk about some of the other things, but protein bars and takeout and all that stuff, that's processed meals. And those things in general lead people to be sicker rather than healthier. The theory that we can do better by processing foods hasn't worked out. The whole earth right now is obese and diabetic. So let's think about that for a second. And it follows exactly the processed food companies, Coca-Cola, all those other companies, changing the way we eat.
Still here. I was just moving my fan. Sorry.
Right. Oh, no problem. Okay. So again, what we want to say is we're going to make some suggestions that you could change your diet and your lifestyle. And you can do it in a small step. You don't have to do everything I tell you to start off with. But the idea there is get started and try it for a week or two. And if you don't like it, forget it and tell me about it. Because I've done this now with not quite 100 people, but people with the same complaints you've had. And when they made these changes, they got better. Okay?
Okay.
Now, it might not work for you. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to make some suggestions, and I'm going to tell you about my latest research on MGB patients. That survey I talked about, the survey tells me that I'm right, that you're going to do better according not to my own opinions. My opinions have changed because I've listened to 3,000 people. Okay, number one, try to go to bed a little bit earlier each night for a while and try to wake up a little earlier. Okay. And you could even go outdoors in the sun a little bit in the morning, just a little bit, see the sun. The sun is good for us. Not forever, not all day, but a little bit of sun. That sun hitting the retina changes your brain. It makes you happier and better. Okay?
Okay.
Now, the next thing is when you wake up after you do the morning thing business, come out and have some breakfast. Okay? Breakfast ideally it would be some oatmeal. Okay?
Oh,
Don't,
I would dump terribly on oatmeal.
you're wrong. So, and you could try it, you know, but here's what there's different kinds of oatmeal. First of all, we're not going to put any sugar or no milk on it. Okay? And the
Okay.
oatmeal, remember that there's different kinds of oatmeal. One is highly processed, and it's called instant oatmeal. If you can put it in a microwave, it'll be done. No, that's not the oatmeal we want. Then there's oatmeal. That's pretty highly processed. That's not what we want. And then there's something called rolled oats. That's a little bit less processed. That's not what we want. And then the one we want is either called steel
Steel cut.
cut, or there's something even more unprocessed called groats, Groats, which you can get from Amazon. And that has
Okay.
all of the fiber in it, and it's very lightly processed. Okay, now, let me ask a question. Have you ever seen the plant of wheat? Do you know what the plant?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a donut?
Yes.
You know that they don't look much alike,
No.
but the donut and a cake and a cookie are made from wheat, but they look nothing like that because they've been processed. They are batch burned in acid, they're bleached, they are turned into white flour, and then sometimes they're at coloring to make it look brown and all that stuff. That processed food is not good for your gut and leads to backing up and reflux and the dumping. When you choose a high fiber food, the sugar going up and then down is relieved. And the long-term persistence of fiber in your gut will help you later in the day.
Okay.
Okay. Now, you told me about snack, 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 snack. Your life is snack, snack, snack.
Right.
That's lizard brain. Okay. Lizard brain is away because of your other bad choices. Okay. So I'm going to make suggestions, and
Okay.
you don't have to agree or anything, but my suggestions are you can see what you're doing now isn't working very well.
Right.
Okay. So, and I have asked you to eat oatmeal. I didn't ask you to have surgery. I didn't ask you to take a medicine. I said, eat a small half a cup of oatmeal, and you weren't going to eat anything for breakfast.
Right.
Okay. Don't put sugar on it. Don't put milk in it.
Okay.
Eat half a cup. Now, a variety of things are going to happen. One is, what if I could give you hormones now that would decrease the drive that lizard brain is making you snack with?
Well, I'd be all in.
Oatmeal has those hormones. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't, but it does. Let me explain. The fiber that goes into you cannot be digested. You and I are not a cow. We cannot digest fiber. Fiber is the outer lining of the cells of plants. It's cellulose. It is wood. Okay? It is wood. All right? So you can't digest it. But when it goes in your stomach, it fills you up, and a variety of hormones respond to that stomach and your small intestine being attached, affected in containing wood. It decreases the hunger hormones. It goes down into the small intestine, and now write down GLP-1 and,
Hold on.
well, you're not that
And
typist. It's only 3 letters.
I know, but I had a typo in there. Go ahead.
All right.
And
GLP-1.
GLP-1.
And then another one's called PYY. Okay, those 2 hormones, when you give them to animals or when they go up in your bloodstream, lizard brain goes to sleep. You're not hungry anymore. Okay? You magically
Okay.
get that from fiber. How?
Okay.
It's not digested by you. You can't digest it. It goes down into the bacteria in your gut called the microbiome. Remember that from the beginning of the talk.
Yes.
The microbiome is the bacteria that live inside you. You can't digest that oatmeal fiber. The fiber goes inside. It doesn't raise your sugar. When you have had oatmeal in the past and dumped, it was because you put sugar and milk on it.
Okay.
We're not doing that. That fiber goes down there and the bacteria digests it. The bacteria digest it into, type this, short chain fatty acids.
Okay.
Let me say it again. Eat fiber. Fiber goes into the gut, into the microbiome. The microbiome grabs the fiber, which you cannot digest, the wood, the cellulose, the fiber, and breaks it down into short chain fatty acids. The short chain fatty acids are small molecules. They're absorbed from the gut into the body, and they affect the brain, and they cause the release of anti-hunger hormones. They put lizard brain to sleep.
Well, okay then.
You hear me?
I'm hearing you.
Yeah. Yeah. You like it?
Yes.
Okay. Now stay with me.
Learning a lot.
Huh?
I said I'm learning a lot.
Yeah. But this.
Or being reminded of a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. But see, again, now also, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but oatmeal has a little bit of protein in it, so that's all good. Okay. Now, the MGB does not like the way you're eating. Excuse me 1 second. Come in.
Come here, sister.
Ah, good. Ah. Yeah, good. Thank you. That's a little much. Good. This is great, though. Yeah. This is great. Yeah. Okay, I'm online. Sorry. Yeah, that's good. Okay, sorry, I'm just getting breakfast, so excuse me. All right, so we have lots to talk about, but you see where I'm going? You see the beginning of what I'm talking about? Okay. Now, MGB likes to snack. That's what you're doing, but not exactly what you're doing. Okay. So what we'd like you to do, you have a cell phone, you have a smartphone.
Yes.
Okay. We want you to set an alarm so that every 2 hours you get ready and give yourself something to eat healthy. Okay. So if you can eat, for example, at say around 8, not that you can right now, but if you could get to eating breakfast at 8 or 9, then 2 hours later, around 10 or 11, we'd like you to have the new healthy, put the snake brain to sleep snack. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
And those would be?
That's what I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you a bunch of choices. So one would be,
okay,
you could have some fruit, right? You could have blueberries or strawberries or an orange or an apple or a banana. And again, you weren't going to eat anything at this time, so you don't need much. All right?
right.
But any of those fruits are good. All right? But now there's another magic choice. On my Facebook page, because I start off with this oatmeal, it's gotten a bad term. It's known as Dr. Rutledge's, quote, magic oatmeal, because a lot of people won't do anything I tell them. In other words, I start talking about this stuff and they'll say, I don't like oatmeal. And I say, you told me you're dying, you're bleeding, you're doing all the, you're vomiting bile, you're going to have another surgery, you can't live and all that stuff. And I say, all you got to do is eat a half a cup of oatmeal. And you say, no. I said, it's like you're drowning and there's a shark circling you. And I come up with a boat to save your life, and you say, well, your boat is blue, I'd prefer a red one.
Right.
Okay? So I'm just saying, come in. Sid. Yes. Sid's here. No, thank you. So what we're saying is a little tiny change. The terrible things you're going through are, I think, related to what you're doing. So I'm going to tell you to do something different. So number one is this kind of magic oatmeal. It's not magic.
Okay.
All right, it's not magic. It's just oatmeal. But you're not having breakfast, you're not getting sun, you're not sleeping right. So a little bowl of oatmeal is a baby step, a little step.
Right.
Okay. There's lots more tips and tricks. I won't be able to tell you all of them, but I'm going to tell you a few. Okay. The next thing is eat breakfast, a little bit, doesn't have, and then every 2 hours, roughly, we want to have 6 meals, not knickknacks, cookies, bars, all that stuff. Why can they sell protein bars? They sell them because they taste good. And they taste good because they put junk in them. They put sugar and oils and all that stuff, and then they put the name protein on it, and you fall for it and makes you sick. Okay? Stop eating those. All right. But what we want to
Okay.
do, set an alarm for ideally 8, 10, 12, 3, 5, 8. And we want a little tiny, little gentle, healthy snack. Okay? All right. So one fruit. Okay? One fruit. Yeah, it could be fruit. But for any of these times, also, there's another magic choice, and it's soup. Plain old soup.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
But not soup. Soup, not soup. Okay, I'm not talking about a can of salted Campbell's soup that's been sitting on a shelf for 10 years and it's got some kind of chemical in there so none of the things rot inside of it. I'm saying, are you anything of a cook? Can you boil water?
I'm not much of a cook, but I make the world's best vegetable beef soup. And I make it a lot.
No beef. Okay, and I
No
don't
beef.
want the best.
Okay.
I don't want the best soup. I want healthy. We're trying to get you better. Okay, so don't tell me. All I'm saying now is let's think about soup. Boil water,
Okay.
okay, and cut up fresh, healthy vegetables, period. Okay,
Okay. That's exactly what I do. I'll just leave out the beef.
all right, good. Now, if you wanted to, you could add another magic oatmeal type of food. Okay, another magic oatmeal type food is a bean. Black beans, kidney beans, pinto beans, chickpeas, okay? Don't add a lot. Don't start a whole bunch. You haven't told me they're in your diet. They are also, wait a minute, magic beans. I love saying that because it's all about the guy who tricked Jack and the Beanstalk by giving him magic beans. So I feel like such a fraud. I'm calling people up around the world and say, take magic beans. Okay, let's stop for a second. Everything we said about oatmeal, okay, beans. Don't put a lot
Okay.
in, but like you said, the broccoli, onions, mushrooms, tomatoes, okay, whatever you like, okay,
Go on.
small. And now for this 10 o'clock feeding, 10 o'clock snack, go small, go tiny. You weren't going to have anything. But you notice now we're talking about foods during the normal human daytime, and you were snacking like crazy at nighttime.
Right.
So it's called, here's something to type down, chronobiology, chronobiology. Okay?
Chrono. Got it. Okay.
All right. Chronobiology tells us about humans. This has been studied. I won't go into all the research. Eat late, get sick. Eat early, be healthy. Okay? If you eat the same calories in an experimental trial in the morning or the evening, if you eat them in the morning, you gain more muscle. You don't sleep during the day as much. You wake up and you feel better and you're happier. If you eat that same meal in the morning as opposed to at night. Okay? You have the power of making yourself better by a trivial, simple change in your diet and your lifestyle. Okay? Because you think you're a vampire and you're not. People don't live by being awake in the dark. They should be awake.
All right. Somebody had to be the centurion to watch over them.
I know.
There's somebody had to be awake. It was me.
I know. But you pay for it in the illness. If you want to keep doing that, you'll keep being sick. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So now, so soup is good. How much? Little. If you're going to be changing your diet like this, go small, go tiny. And again, let's make it easy for you. You're doing takeout and all that stuff for convenience, right?
Right. Well, and because I'm a terrible cook, but I can always learn.
But here's the thing. Do you want to get better? You can.
Yes.
I'm not saying you have to become a specialist cook. I'm saying boil water and cook some beef.
Okay.
So think about this. On Sunday night, okay, if you want to get better, I need you to be freaking organized. Okay, and I use this example. Let's imagine that you and I are in charge of taking back Europe from Nazi Germany. Okay, we have to invade France. Okay. I come over and knock on your door tomorrow night and I say, hey, let's go. You say, wait, what, don't you think we should do some planning before we invade? What about, okay? You're trying to change yourself and get better, right?
Right.
The way you described it, hypoglycemia, reflux, all these illnesses, it's a big deal. So get organized, all right? So this is something to type
Okay.
down. Write out your 1-week plan ahead of time. Okay?
The food menu?
At least a plan. If you don't have to do every
Okay.
meal, but if you cook, for example, on Sunday night, you boil some black beans, for example, and you boil some soup. That means when lunchtime and dinner time and you get the cravings later, later at night, you have everything there. You walk to the refrigerator, you take a scoop of beans and put some this, or you take a scoop of this and that. You have some, say, apples, you have bananas, you have everything ready because I got a plan. I know I'm going to have this and this and this. So it means on Sunday night, I'm ready for the week. And if it comes around 5 or 7 and I'm hungry, I could call for some takeout, or I could walk to my refrigerator and open the door. And there it is. And now I'm not vomiting bile on myself at night.
Okay.
It doesn't mean you
That's
can never
yeah.
have takeout. We're saying, try this for a week and see if I'm right. And I'm going to report to you my research from patients and my experience in talking to people like I'm talking to you now says this will fix you. It says you have been poisoning yourself by making decisions and then stirring up lizard brain. Because you know, many of the things you're doing, you told me earlier in this talk, you told me, I know I shouldn't do it. You said those words.
But I know I shouldn't eat late at night, but are close to bedtime because it's early in the morning for me. But yeah, I know.
But you said a lot of words afterwards. Just say this: I know what I'm doing is wrong, but I do it anyways. Why? You have poked lizard brain. Leave him the heck alone. He is stronger than you are. When he does that to you, you need to look back over the rest of the day because he doesn't want to get up. He's happy down there. He says, I'm running the heart rate and the rest of that. But if you hold your breath, I got to wake up. You're causing this yourself by your decisions. Okay? So,
okay.
All right. Now, so for now, we're talking about the snack. We're going to talk about lunch and all that. But for snack, then, we have some beans. So if you wanted to, I'm tired of soups. Okay? I'm tired of veggie soups. You can make different veggie soups, more tomato soup, more this and that. Okay, Google it. It's not rocket science. It's easy. But let's suppose, okay, I'm tired of soups. I'd like to have half a cup of beans. Well, yeah, black beans, anything, not baked beans, not with sugar and all that stuff, okay?
Right.
All right. So, but you could have them with salsa. You could make some nice cilantro and with a little bit of beans, half a cup, little cup, because that fiber affects you. If you eat beans or oatmeal at breakfast, it affects you at lunch, it affects you at dinner, and that fiber is still affecting you as they measured it in research studies into breakfast the next day. Okay?
That's very interesting.
Those knickknacks, that cookie, those fake bars, all those things are telling you you've awakened snake brain and he's not happy. He's saying, meh, 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 and you cannot stop it even if you know how to stop it because the top of you is not in charge. If you go against snake brain, you will lose.
Oh, Dr. Rutledge, can you hear me? You froze.
Yeah, you froze for me too. Maybe we're done.
Oh. Yeah, this is a lot to digest. I'm good with being done. It's a lot to digest, but it was some incredibly helpful.
Well, thank you.
Empowering.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I feel empowered, like, you know, because especially with hypoglycemia, I felt like it's been controlling me, and now all of a sudden I'm like, watch out, bitch, I'm in control of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got this now. All right. Thank you very much.